US President Donald Trump has claimed now that the US second biggest city, Los Angeles, is being invaded by a foreign enemy. In an address to US troops at Fort Bragg on the Army's 250th anniversary, the US President vowed to liberate the city after days of protests sparked by immigration raids.
The Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy. And that's what they are.
Trump's remark came as protests against immigration crackdown have now spread across the United States. Police and protesters continue to face off in Los Angeles, the city's fifth day of demonstrations against deportation actions. Protests in front of a federal detention center continue as hundreds of U.S. Marines and National Guards arrived under orders from the U.S. president. Demonstrations against the Trump administration's anti-immigration crackdown spread across the United States. Protesters scuffle with police on the streets of Chicago, and they're also carrying out marches in New York to protest the immigration raids. Earlier, Trump asserted that the National Guard will remain in Los Angeles until there is no more danger. And if the protests continue, he will also consider sending National Guards to other states as well.
You know, if we didn't attack this one very strongly, you'd have them all over the country. But I can inform the rest of the country that when they do it, if they do it, they're going to be met with equal or greater force than we met right here.
The U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was grilled by the U.S. House Appropriations Committee on the cost of deployment of troops in Los Angeles. He made it absolutely clear that deployment of troops for Homeland Security will expand under President Trump.
I think we're entering another phase, especially under President Trump, with his focus on the homeland, where the National Guard and Reserves become a critical component of how we secure that homeland and apply those civilian sets across the spectrum.
Hegseth said deployment of the National Guard and Marines is aimed at protecting ICE agents. But when he was asked about the cost of moving in the National Guard and Marine Corps, he exercised his right to remain silent. Hegseth's grilling before the House committee comes after the U.S. president said that Los Angeles would have burned to the ground if he did not act. On the state front, California Governor Gavin Newsom is taking on Donald Trump. Newsom accused Trump of authoritarianism. The political battle from Washington to California comes after Trump doubled down on troops deployment as soon as the protests escalated. Donald Trump ordered 2,000 more National Guards to be deployed in Los Angeles. Along with this, he has also called in 700 Marine personnel, often referred to as U.S. elite fighting force. On the fourth day of protests, protesters and police came face to face in Santa Ana area of Southeast, which is a region in the southeast of Los Angeles, where sounds of flashbangs or firecrackers were heard exploding in the distance. Now, security forces dispersed protesters using rubber bullets and armored vehicles in downtown Los Angeles. These demonstrators had gathered outside a federal detention center in downtown where immigrants have been held. The immigration crackdown and the following protests that began in Los Angeles first spread within the state of California to San Francisco and the capital Sacramento, but now they are being reported from California to New York. In Texas, reports and the protests were reported in Dallas, Austin, Houston and San Antonio. People also took to the streets in Philadelphia, Boston and Chicago. These are the visuals that you'll have on your screens shortly from Texas, where protests were reported in two major cities of Dallas and Austin. Multiple people were detained after a street showdown with police officers. California Governor Gavin Newsom came down heavily on U.S. President. Newsom slammed the move as deranged and un-American. In a social media post, Newsom wrote U.S. Marines shouldn't be deployed on American soil facing their own countrymen to fulfill the deranged fantasy of a dictatorial president. This is the first time since 1965 that a U.S. president has sent the National Guard troops to a U.S. city without a governor's approval, and the move has sparked a political tug-of-war between the Democrats and Republicans.